I thank God for every single one of his righteous judgments that he executes upon a rebellious
Hey, Shirley,
nation
it's
and
Alan
people
Combs.
who will not obey.
What's the matter with you?
What's the matter
What is the matter with you?
Why won't you just obey? The scripture says
Who
if you
should
will
I obey? Who would you
that
like
the
me
Lord
to
your
obey?
God will bless you. If you do not
Kennedy's pointing to
obey
him. He
the
wants you to obey
commandments
him.
of the Lord your God, then he'll curse you.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Really, the people of Detroit have shined as much as the city has. That the people of Detroit have really come through.
I know it's dinner time, but let's talk dessert. It's not just the thin mint getting thinner. All Girl Scout cookies will now be trans fat free. Cookie makers. Ow!
Honey, sorry.
Oh my God. I don't know that I. Oh my God. Can we go to the soundbite, please?
Like the cookies, Jackie has now crumbled. The rule of thumb, you want to check the labels. Any food with partially hydrogenated. Oh, I'm so sorry. Vegetable oil does contain some amount of trans fats, and while there is a sugar-free Girl Scout cookie available, the others still have lots of sugar plus those saturated fats that we were talking about.
You hit me.
Totally unintentional, and I think the tape will prove that.
Mini Pops was basically a group of kids ranging from about 6 up to probably about 12 or 13, and we got made up and dressed up and we performed as if we were being pop stars. Having spoken to my mum recently about it all, they were a bit concerned as to how much makeup we were being slapped on and some of the costumes that we were being given.
Occasionally you come across something that is disturbing, and Mini Pops is disturbing.
The reason I remember the Mini Pops is because watching them was very similar to actual physical pain. It's just a biblical amount of rubbishness.
It's wrong on more levels than I can even imagine.
They're always looking slightly off camera like they've been threatened.
The series was such a small percentage of what we did. Martin and Linda Wyatt, who sort of looked after us, after the series had finished, they were so careful about the makeup we wore and the costumes. We weren't allowed to sing certain lyrics. The production team and the director had very definite ideas that were completely separate to Martin and Linda's.
They couldn't really do a Mini Pops now because it's all 50 Cent and Dr. Dre and all those kind of guys. Like, yeah, my bitches, my hoes.
I'd like to see them do the Prodigy Smack My Bitch Up. I think that would be quality.
And it'd be all black kids as well, which would be quite funny, and one lone white kid. My name is... It just wouldn't work.
It's a shame that it's now looked back upon in such a bad light, because at the time it was aimed at children and the children seemed to really enjoy it.
Hello.
Hi, George. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
I'm great.
Great.
I have a question for you.
I got an answer for you.
How tall are you? Because you can't really tell when you're just sitting there. You look kind of tall.
I'm about 6'1".
No way.
Yes, way.
I had no idea that sit that high.
Well, if this is the kind of crap that's being featured, then I guess I should make another video saying, when is it Little Loca's time to shine? Doesn't she suck enough to be featured?
Let me lay it on the line, he had two on the vine. I mean 2 sets of testicles, so divine. On a horse made of crystal he patrolled the land, with the mason ring and schnauzer in his perfect hands.
And I'm in the lush forest of Warwick, New York. Ow! Fuck! Stop it! Don't fucking do that! Stop! Stop it! I'm fucking serious! Fucking asshole! I'm gonna fucking kick your ass! You motherfucking bitch! Don't shoot me anymore! No, I just want you to take the CO2 out. Take the CO2 out and leave it out. Stop it! Stop! 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 Stop it, you fucker! Stop!
Talk to us.
Hey, how are you? Sorry that I'm not at home. But when I get the message on my telephone, you'll be the first one on my list.
Crazy Calls, a tape of 7 different songs and funny recordings for answering machines.
I am very sorry that I'm not at home to take your call.
Only $14.95.
When I will get right back to you. Leave your message at the tone.
Give someone the gift of gab for their answering machine.
Calling a friend. What you've actually done is bought a one-way ticket to the answering machine zone.
Nobody's home. Nobody's home. I'm glad you called, but I'm not home. But I'll be back before too long.
Crazy Calls, a tape of 7 different songs and funny recordings for only $14.95.
Wait for the beat. You gotta leave your name. You gotta leave your number.
To order?
Wait for the beat.
Several years ago, Manitoba's most famous street was in a mess. Stores sat vacant, crime ran rampant, and business was slow. Downtown Portage Avenue cried out for new life. This was the answer that provincial, federal, and civic politicians came up with. They decided everything in a 5-block section of downtown would have to go. It was to make way for a new housing and shopping complex aimed at bringing business and people back to the area. Altogether, 32 buildings were demolished, including the old Colony Theatre and the not-so-old Toronto Dominion Bank. The properties were expropriated, but only half of the former owners have settled with the city on compensation. Wes Hall's bookstore was expropriated 3 years ago. He has since settled on compensation, and he feels the city treated him fairly. He says demolition was drastic, but it had to be done.
I don't really feel sad. I think that changes have to be made in the downtown, and I think what's happened is really a plus for the downtown of Winnipeg.
Other store owners are still bitter about how they were treated. Some even lost their businesses. Construction on Portage Place started 2 years ago. Now, the transformation of Portage Avenue is complete.
V. This is a vase that I'll put in this vat, away from the villain in the Panama hat.
I am the villain in the Panama hat, and I'm after that vase that's here in this vat. I'll fill it with vinegar and throw in some varnish, and top that all off with some violets garnish. And now I will slip it here under my vest.
Oh, no, you don't, villain. You're under arrest. V.
What Fox Television told us was that we were just the people to be the investigators.
Do any stories you want, ask tough questions, and get answers. So we thought, this is great. This is a dream job. Fantastic. The very first thing they had us do was not to research stories, but to shoot this promo, which was The Investigators.
Uncovering the truth, getting results, protecting you.
And they had a film crew and a smoke machine, and we were silhouetted.
And I'll never forget, he didn't pause a beat, and he said, we just paid $3 billion for these television stations. We'll tell you what the news is. The news is what we say it is.
It is a terrible crime, very unfortunate, but why all the attention? I mean, is it just because she was married to a guy who appeared on television occasionally, Horowitz, this attorney? We had live trucks, we had we saw some of the images. Why so much attention?
Well, don't you think at the beginning it's the mystery? I mean, first of all, yes, you have somebody that we all know in the television world. We've seen him. He covered Scott Peterson. He's covered Michael Jackson. And we're all drawn to what the mystery is. How could, you know, his wife be killed and killed so desperately? And then when the case is sort of tied up, or we think it's tied up, we all want to know why. And you add that to the fact that if this boy did this, and the Gothic, you know, stuff that went around it and the motive and everything, don't we all sort of want to know, that could be our teenager, that could be our kid doing that. How could that possibly happen?
Lise, do me a favor, stand by. Scott Dileski is being described as being involved with the goth movement, but what exactly is that? We kind of know it when we see it, but some aspects of a goth lifestyle could they provoke such a murder? Joining me now from Portland, Oregon, I believe you're in Oregon. Hi there, is Voltaire, the author of What is Goth? There's your book right there, Voltaire. And good of you to join us tonight. Voltaire, what is goth?
Oh, that is it can be a very complicated question because there is a lot to goth. But the simple answer is that goth is a kind of music that grew out of punk rock in the late 70s. Punk rock was a very angry kind of music that says, I don't like this world, it makes me angry and I want to destroy it. And goth was sort of the melancholy cousin of punk that says, there's a lot of evil in this world, there's a lot of very mean-spirited people, and that makes me sad. And that is, you know, it's an oversimplification, perhaps. Goth also tends to address the human condition. It's sort of the new romanticism. It's an appreciation for things that are romantic and passionate and sometimes dark or melancholy.
Okay, well, and Voltaire, we see a rather dark and melancholy shot of the defendant, Scott Dileski. Is this a goth look?
You can argue that that's a goth look. I think there's so many goth looks that it certainly doesn't come down to one. But, you know, the thing is that, you know, when I look at the screen and I see that it says goth murder, I wonder to myself if he was an enthusiast of country, if he was an enthusiast of rap, would this be a rap murder? Would this be a country murder? There's obviously something about goth that is very mysterious to most people who are not exposed to it, which makes them believe that there's something, I guess, especially dangerous about goths, which to me seems fairly silly.
It is kind of a broad term. It's kind of like punk, and a lot of people associate a lot of things with it. Is there, in some aspects of the goth movement, a satanic quality anywhere out there in the goth world? Did you explore that in your book?
You know, there may very well be people within the goth scene, because the goth scene really encompasses a lot of different tribes of people. And there are some who may very well be Satanists, but there are also Satanists who are CEOs, and there are Satanists who are farmers. And again, there isn't really a direct correlation between goth and Satanism. I would say most of the goths I know are Christians, Jewish. I've met a few Muslim ones. I've met a few born-again Christian goths, and probably to a large degree, a lot of them are secular.
All right, Voltaire. Well, I think you're probably the first goth I've met, and it was good chatting with you tonight. Thanks.
My pleasure.
And so we come to the end of another day of telecasting. We sincerely hope you have enjoyed the programs of news and information we have presented for you today. We will return to the air tomorrow with our regularly scheduled programs. WDAZ-TV is owned by Forum Communications and operates with a power of 316,000 watts visual and 50,000 watts oral on Channel 8 by permission of the Federal Communications Commission. Studios and offices are located on Highway 2, Devils Lake, and 2220 South Washington, Grand Forks. Our transmitter is located 9 miles north of Petersburg, North Dakota.